we're assuming at this point that you're able to log into the virtual desktop. So this lesson starts having logged in. There are, as you can see, some user settings that have been saved on my desktop. And what we're doing here, this is a first lesson in AutoCAD. So the first thing we're going to do is take the application and pin it to the taskbar. So I'm going to find the Autodesk's AutoCAD, and then take the startup icon for it and drag it over to the desktop so we have it here. So anytime we want to start the AutoCAD application, this is where we're going to, this is the place from which we're going to start. So let's click on the CAD. Now, this message should not come up once AutoCAD files are associated with the AutoCAD application. There is no reason not to associate CAD files with AutoCAD, so I'm going to say I'm going to answer always we associate drawing files with AutoCAD in the hope that it will not come up next time. If it does, we will deal with it then, but it should not. So here is what's called the AutoCAD window, and I'm going to make it full screen so we can see what's going on. So I'm going to talk about the different parts of the interface. First of which is available here. It's called the application menu. I'm going to click on that, and what that does is controls projects, recent projects, or files that you may open in AutoCAD that are already open in AutoCAD or that have been recently open. You can see there are some import and export functions as well. So that is the application menu. The second I'm going to talk about is this, what's called the quick access toolbar, and that's this area on top that is customizable, and it includes frequently used commands. The user may set that up, and there are little icons listed across the top there. The next part of the menu that we're going to talk about is called the Info Center. That is the information up here that has to do with licensing, signing in the Autodesk 360 if you have an account with that. Talks about the application, Autodesk App Store. We're not going to make terribly intensive use of that part of the menu. The ribbon menu is probably the most central part of AutoCAD, and that's where all the commands are organized under these various categories. There are home, are the common functions associated with that. Insert organizes things external to the CAD environment, the CAD drawing that you're working with. Annotate is exactly what it means, allows you to mark up, explain with text and symbols the drawings that you're using. We're not going to make a lot of use of parametric ribbon menu items. The View ribbon menu we use very often to organize viewports. Manage allows you to organize the functions and overall settings of AutoCAD. output has to do with taking your AutoCAD drawing, exporting it to the various view and print formats. Add-ins is something that's available only with the VDI version of AutoCAD, and it's not available on the desktops. In any case, the only option here is there are add-in functions like this import from SketchUp that are useful. A360 has to do with sharing files in the cloud. Express tools are historically AutoCAD's way of organizing very useful and commonly used functions in AutoCAD. Okay, so that's the ribbon menu. Let's pause 1 second here. There are a couple more things I want to say about the ribbon menu because it is so central and important. Its appearance can be changed. It can be abbreviated. This little button here allows you to cycle through different abbreviated representations of these options. Watch what happens when I click on that button. It minimizes the panels to the categories that can be further enlarged when you click on each one. So here you go, home, annotation, which by the way is also available via annotation here. Sometimes there's more than one route to get to those commands. I'm going to continue, we're going to cycle again, and notice this is completely minimized to smaller tabs, right? So these are different ways, and now it's further minimized as well to just the ribbon menu headers. So these are different ways to change the appearance of the ribbon menu. The ribbon menu is divided further into panels, and you can see that these panels, we could theoretically simply drag them out if we were using them on a regular basis for, and it was convenient for us to do that. So that is a further way that the ribbon menu is organized. Next is this rather large area in front here. That's the drawing area. And that's where most of your drawing, editing, copying takes place. So any drawing that I have open, this is open by default. Drawing 1, it defaults to drawing 1. Down here in the corner, we have what's called a user coordinate system. It's telling me the X and the Y axis. So this way, if we were using the Z, it is actually perpendicular to this picture plane. We have a view cube up here that, were we in 3D space, we could click on the various corners of it, or otherwise drag one of the corners around to orbit in 3D space. Most of the CAD drawing we'll be doing during the semester will be in 2D. However, AutoCAD does have 3D capabilities. We have as well a command window, which is where I would type if I were still using command line functions. You're going to learn a lot of these, like line, which allows me to specify a start point and an end point for a line, and it would just continue to draw. I'm going to go back to the top view. So here, invoking the line command in the drawing area. That's done through the command line. We have a status bar. Had a couple of interruptions, so I hope this isn't disconnected. I didn't yet talk about the status bar, which is this bar along the bottom right. It is customizable. By default, apparently it didn't show coordinates, but you can, let's click that as one of the many options. Many of these will make more sense later on. You can see that as the mouse moves in the drawing window, this gets updated with the coordinate location of the mouse. If I draw another line, it's giving me the to and from point. I can turn the grid off and on in the background. It indicates as well the annotative scale of the view if there is one being used. So that covers pretty much all of the user interface. Oh, we have one last one that we haven't talked about, and that's switching between model and paper space. This deserves a discussion all its own, but we'll give you a very simple overview here. Think of this as sort of the real world, right? If I draw a line, let's just select everything here and clear it out. If I draw a line in this view, which is my model space, it's this black background, it gives me absolute values, real-world values in terms of dimensions and length, width, height, whatever that is. I can type in a value, 55 feet, and it will, and if I hit enter, it draws a line that long and continue in different directions, okay? If I switch from a model tab to one of these layout tabs, it's showing me a paper sheet equivalent of a view into that into the model. So if I type or draw something in model space, let's create a circle near the origin here. It defaults to a cropped view port of what I've drawn in model space on a page. And we're going to learn how to carefully set up pages and scale viewports so that they will fit on those pages. So it's important to know that when the difference between model and paper space, and when you're in it, drawing in model space, and when you're, in fact, in paper space, manipulating views of the stuff that you've created in model space. So that's a brief overview of the different parts of the user interface in AutoCAD. And we'll be using AutoCAD 2017 this semester.